minion, and the other player won't have a minion because it's a no minion meta, and you'll kill them with your 1/3 because of City Tax Barov.
Yep. Glad we're all aligned here.
All right, well, remember that this is aggro shaman, so the note taker, does different things in this deck to usual. Oh, nice looking curve for Nalguidan, but not, again, this is a Libram Paladin, not a secret Paladin, so... Oh, there's a Banana Man, he's fine.
It's the same thing. Flood's got the right side of his curve as well. You want to have the elemental synergy first, and then the spells and the burn to back it up. So...
Didn't quite hit the mark on turn 2, but it's still fine. Just end up wasting a mana, which obviously isn't ideal, but the curve still works pretty well. You'd take this as your 1, 2, 3 if offered, even though it's not perfect.
Yeah. And the Granite Forgeborn hitting the board on turn 3 just means that everything else becomes just a little more smooth because the elementals that he picks up off the top are just going to be easier to squeeze in. So Nalguidan's got to really think about this one, how things impact the board. He could Knight of Anointment and find, like, Hand of Adal would be pretty good to be able to just deal with this Wailing Vapor. Even Libram to get a value trait over on the Kindling Elemental.
However, he can just coin out the Banner Man, and if he thinks he can survive till turn 4, then the Samurai will just clear up basically anything that can be thrown at him. And then he can just stabilise from there. It looks like the option he might be going for too, because next turn he can play the Knight of Anointment and the Watch Post, or possibly the Murgle now.
Yeah.
Clear up, still be on a decent health total most likely, and stabilise.
Oh, okay. This protects the Wailing Vapor, and now that coin's used, he knows that Blademaster Samuro is still at least a turn away.
Next turn from each player. Well, next turn from Nalguidan is going to be probably quite straightforward, although this now might mean he might not need to play the Samuro, which would be a massive win for him. Fled doesn't really have an option here. I thought it was going to be quite interesting to see how he played around Samuro, but there is no option.
Ooh. Well, he could play around Samuro by trading into the McGurgle. Because now the McGurgle Sticks, for some reason, doesn't have a green outline to indicate that it can attack.
Yeah.
What?
It doesn't like green.
Sure.
Green is not a creative colour, so just doesn't go with it.
Yeah, where is it? That's weird. It's usually there.
Just disposed of it. It was on his Divine Shield, didn't want it anymore, chucked it off with the shield.
Okay.
Just got.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, not many options here. Keep the tempo going, I suppose, is the one option. Get another Storm Strike. Obviously, Storm Strike has a ton of additional potential outside of just being a deal 6 to a minion, right? Because he has the Doom Hammers in the deck. And I'm sure Flood expected this.
I'm pretty sure he said his own name when he saw this card. That's how it looked, at least. Just Fled. Sure, that's what he said. It looked very much like it.
Okay. That makes sense.
It does. Everything I say makes sense, TJ. Sometimes only to me, but...
Write that down.
Still... plugging away.
Yeah, I mean... he's getting there. Got some big turns coming up. Nalguidan has a pretty awful turn this turn. The McGurgle Prime, not what he wanted to see.
May the light grant you peace.
He has to play the Battlemaster, right, just for the board presence. Because his win condition doesn't really hit you for a million with my Wind Fury guy. It's just run you out of things and play some taunts.
Yeah.
Strike, then strike harder.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yep.
How
Holy
much is
moly.
this?
This is a lot. 15 this turn, with even more potentially lined up for next turn. He could do it like the other way around, where you play Inara and Stormstrike here, and then you fully clear the board, and you stick the Inara.
That's an interesting option, actually.
Because it's still the same amount of attack, right? It just doesn't have an overload, it has a body attached to it.
Interesting. This way does start chewing. You want to get these 8 charges used in the perfect world, I guess.
Yeah.
There might be more road blocks to come.
Yeah.
Woe betide those who set
Because then he could have gone Doomhammer and Dunk Tank the next turn.
Right. Yeah, interesting, actually.
And leaving the Battlemaster up too means that now Varian gets to double trade.
Yeah, maybe your way works better. The more I look at it, the more I'm sold once again on a TJ play.
Yeah. There's also the option here for Nalguidan to save damage on his Varian and trade over the Diligent Note-Taker with the Battlemaster.
Just looking now what Fled might be able to pick up off the top.
Like if he's worried about, if he trades in the 2 damage, like 7 is still a weird break point.
Yeah, we all know that shamans do everything in 3s.
Yeah.
That's interesting, though. The way the fact it worked the other way now. So
I don't think there's a way for him to stay alive unless he hits exactly Canal Slogger.
right.
No, there's no other.
nature waits.
Canal Slogger costs 3, but Arid Stormer. Nope.
Doesn't even get that, so
Yeah, it
it's
didn't.
going to be the first game over.
Yep. Well, not yet. All right. Yeah. Not lethal, but let's be honest here.
Yeah, it would be disingenuous of us to suggest that this one could be turned around, but maybe we could be
Yeah, like
disingenuous
maybe-
anyway.
How much damage would like another Dunk Tank be off the top? I don't know. Not 15 damage worth with getting through 3 taunts with Divine Shield and no board. Yeah.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yep.
Right. Oh no, misplay. He died.
That's a rough one for Fled. I don't know if the Inara before Doomhammer would have changed anything, right? It was just something interesting to point out in that particular scenario. So I still think he doesn't get there. He'd be a little bit damaged off. The Rin would still come down, but have to trade over the Inara. And I don't know, maybe. It's tough. Because then Dunk Tank plus a minion trade on board, and then you get to push the rest of the damage face. But he would have dealt less face damage by trading off the Battlemaster. And you can't put your opponent on exactly having Varian Rin. And what it did do was give him outs off the top for lethal from hand, maybe? Actually, it didn't, because he had already used... Oh, yeah, Storm Strike plus Dunk Tank. He would have had enough mana to do that as well. Because he'd actually only played one Storm Strike. It was just copied by the Diligent Note Taker. So, still some outs for him. He was just hoping for no Libra of Hope or potentially a slower turn to be able to clear things off with Dunk Tank.
Yeah, in other worlds, he does get through all 6 of those charges instead of having 2 left over maybe at the end of a game. In some ways, the game could pan out there. So wanting to get through all 8 of the Doomhammer charges as quickly as possible. So I understand why it went that way as well. And like you say, when he does that, he's going to have another card to play next turn because he's going to draw another card, and that's going to be basically playable in all situations. So, yeah, maybe he's relying on it being a bit more of a long-term investment than the immediate investment because we can see the variant.
Yep.
Interesting.
Now Fled's going to move over to Anaconda Druid. Again, this is standard from what we've seen. Just the claw machine there to guarantee the Anaconda. But over the course of the last couple of days, we've actually seen quite a bit of this deck, to be honest. And it's been very hit or miss.
Yeah, I'm just looking through now. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Anaconda Druids and an Aggro Druid in this top 8 alone. Just in this region. And we've seen quite a few in APAC in particular, but also some in Europe, I believe, as well. So, yeah, just a deck that has slowly ramped up in popularity from nowhere, really. It's just a good, solid deck. I'm surprised it's replaced the Miracle Druid, but that Druid is a little bit... so the Cthulhu version, if you like, of Celestial Druid. It just seems to have replaced it completely. Maybe because that version's a little bit slower. The Glowflies are pretty handy in this version. But it's interesting to me that this became the dominant version. It's definitely not what I expected to happen.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. But alas, the metagame is wild and unpredictable. Don't even make a boat joke right now. Don't you dare.
But the boat, it's...
No boat jokes allowed.
Alright, I won't make any boat jokes.
Don't rock the boat.
Okay, I'm not gonna do anything. I don't know what to do.
Okay.
When you cut off my only line of conversation, I'm stuck. Like, I'm up a certain creek without a paddle. My boat. Right, Fled. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go with boats. Now, see if Fled can pull this one back. Again, it's not a massively important match, but, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of pride on the line, and he can secure that top 6, which I'm sure he thinks is massively important, even if it seems like a triviality from the lows of people getting relegated. Getting a bye in the playoffs seems slightly more trivial, but it's actually not. It's a chance of getting to the World Championship with one match fewer having to be played. It's huge in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it really is. Quite the big deal. All right. What a hand.
Okay. And then, what a hand. Nalguidan's hand can also improve pretty well. Alright. I don't get to say anything funny here because this is just going to go pretty nutty for Fled pretty quickly. And then it's all going to get soul rendered, then he's going to do it again.
Well, I don't think his eyes are on Glowfly Swarm just yet. He's
Can't be over.
Yeah.
Alright. So what's the timing on this alignment? He can play it next turn if he wants to, but he'll have a 3-card hand, assuming he doesn't rip a Nourish or something off the top next turn. His hand isn't particularly conducive to it, and obviously he might end up facing down some big things.
Pretty risky playing it that early.
Yeah.
Just because if you don't have the follow-up to it, Nalguidan's just going to be like, all right, cool. Null, Flesh Giant. Oh wait, sorry. Anetheron, Null, Flesh Giant.
Yeah, and you go, oh, I make 3 glowflies.
Here's my tutus.
Don't miss my tutus, TJ.
Okay. I won't.
So Nalguidan's got to make a plan here. Fled's plan is wait and see, you know, when the time feels right from the hand he has. But Nalguidan's got to do something. The ball's in his court to actually make an attack happen. That's what he's doing. It's only turn 4, even though I keep looking at the Druid having 7 mana. It's a decent attack.
Well, really only one play here. Still a pretty decent glowfly. It's just give Nalguidan information. There's no minion in hand.
Yep.
So we're looking at the ability for Nalguidan to get a scavenger on the board, but there's still so many high impact threats left in his deck that he really doesn't want to get rid of. So it's a tough call to make to accelerate the game that much.
Yeah, he also has choices to make within that. Like he can make a couple of trades first if he wants to accelerate it a bit, which is... You want to accelerate it a bit with Soul Rends, but not massively is sometimes the way forwards.
Okay. Nice little tippity tap.
Yeah, he's happy just to wait. Very good patience. Surely it's a Scenarian Ward, but it's well worth a think, of course. The Solar Eclipse is massive in some situations. Like the one where you draw Anaconda next turn.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, here we go. That's the juice right there. Get that damage in.
Alright, my hand's doing nothing, so I'm going to make it do something.
He just did the ooh face. Oh yeah.
Yes, solving that lot.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's just... What does he do?
Tamsin Bolt.
Ew.
You're alive at 1. Hope that there's no anything.
Yeah, there's no cards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, what does he do if he doesn't do your play? I don't think there is another play. He would have to involve
Yeah, I don't think
tapping.
there is one.
I wonder
A Blood-Based Thanos would be fantastic right here.
Haven't heard of me.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have the mana if he tapped, so yeah, he's got to go with this play. Just because he might not die.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yep. All right. Flood equalizes the series. That was a very weird game. It looked like Flood was going to have some difficulty getting things going, but the survival of the fittest pickup and just the foresight to just say, what is my opponent going to do if I just go for it, right? It's out of range of what, like almost everything that he could possibly do. Tamsin, Soul Rend in general. No, he doesn't play spell damage in the deck. Like there's a few combination of cards like that specific one that leaves him a little bit off lethal, but buying time at that stage for Fled is great while he waits to pick up Nourish or Fungal Fortunes or Anaconda or anything, really.
It's a good spot. Like my brain instantly went to, well, if you take survival, the next glowfly swarm doesn't fit, so the survival never gets any use. So I can rule that one out. Yeah, I just hadn't realised. Just buff the 3 things you have on the board. It's huge. Really nice spot. Like he's a little bit embarrassed, but you get those surprise wins sometimes when you make plays like that. Because like you say, the whole point of the play was to buy a lot of time. He needed that time. But you are allowed, your opponent has to deal with it because you might kill them. You are allowed to then kill them. It's part of your percentage when you make the play. Brilliant.
Yeah, nice.
We don't get to see much of Fled because he keeps winning off stream. But glad we saw that one.
Or losing off stream.
Yeah,
one of the two.
often.
Most of the time winning.
10 and 4, I think he must be off stream.
Yep. But Nalguidan's going to move over to the Garrote Rogue, and standard variation of that is Arsenal here.
Seems like all the experiments with taking Kazakus out have ended, largely in failure. So
well, No Hands had a decent week, and he had no Kazakus with Guild Trader, which was, I thought, a pretty cool tech.
That's fine, because that's specific against Warrior. I mean, as a standard build, yeah, just to be clear. People who took it out just to take it out's sake.
Gotcha.
Guild Trader was smart, because Warrior was an expected bring this week. It didn't really happen in Americas, but it did turn up in other regions.
Mm-hmm.
Back on the Elemental Shaman. This is usually tough, because the Rogue has just got a lot of removal. I realise that other people have had different experiences with it, but I feel if the Rogue just gets an early start with a couple of prize plunderers and stuff, it's very difficult for the Shaman to really get it done. However, with the Doomhammer and the Inara and the Storm Strike all being thrown into this one, might be okay.
Yeah, you just have so much reach, right? Like, if you can get an early board and force all these tempo resources out, it's not like this traditional aggro deck where you gas out super quickly. It's like when a Garrote Rogue versus Shadow Priest is a good example. If Garrote Rogue just took the board outside of Myra or Lucia, it was very tough for the Shadow Priest to actually get back in the game. Whereas the Aggro Elemental Shaman, if they lose the board in the early game, they can just equip a Doomhammer and say, I pull the old, I never even cared about the board in the first place.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, so.
It's just 10 out of the blue, and 10 for Rogue that can't heal or play taunts is a big deal. And we see how big a deal it is that I was talking about Prize Plunderer as a removal spell. But Nalguidan felt the need to insta-play it just to challenge the board.
Yeah.
Does have this sort of weird Shadow Step swindle replay the Plunderer play, and he's trying everything in his power not to do that.
Shadow Step's just such a premium card. You'd be using it to... I guess you'd be using it to combo Swindle and kill a 1-2. If I was just using it to kill a 1-2, I'd be like, no thank you. It actually doesn't even have to kill the 1-2, just hold on to it, which I like even better the more I look at it. So.
And now he actually gets a chance to play... It actually might be Field Contact, Plunderer, draw a card, Shadow Step my Plunderer, replay it, draw a card, I hope I get somewhere. Ideally, he'd like to wait a turn before doing that nonsense. Or get one of those guys.
That's a good pickup.
Yeah.
Fled, though, has some damage.
In the hand? Just a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, when I say damage, I mean damage.
Damage.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Yeah.
I wonder.
If you go for it this turn though, and you're not really doing anything to the board, like if you go for the Octobot and like Guardian Aug version this turn, like are you worried about just taking too much damage?
I mean,
whoa, whoa. All right.
There's that fine line, right? Are you worried about taking too much damage, and can you do anything else anyway about it? Like sometimes, yeah, sometimes you just die. There we go. That gambit didn't pay off.
Yeah. I understand the reasoning because it's very few cards. He actually didn't see the elemental from the Paladin near, but it wouldn't matter if it was Canal Slogger because it'd still be too expensive because he played the discount. And Nalguidan was thinking, well, if I use the Guardian Aug Merchant to proc the Octobot, then that's one less card I'm drawing with the field contact because really the only card he had was Prize Plunder Shadow Step. So he had like a bigger swing potential going into this turn. He's still able to draw some cards, but now it just feels like he's pretty far behind.
Yeah, this Stormer's going to do a lot of work for Fled here, given that it's just going to clear the way for Nalguidan to start taking that Doomhammer damage.
Yeah.
1 mana, rush. Deal 2. Divine Shield?
Lifesteal.
So Lifesteal will gain him, let's say, 2, maybe 1 health. Divine Shield could possibly kill 2 minions. Nah, it's much of a muchness, isn't it?
He went for a 5.
That's an upgrade. Probably.
Okay, then Lifesteal's a bit more relevant. Sure. Not a bad golem, actually.
No.
Didn't he made it out of twigs and bones or whatever they use?
Clay.
Clay.
But clay as a substance could be made of many different things as well, so, you know,
How does
what
that
do I
work?
know?
So
Isn't clay just made out of clay?
Not always. I don't know.
I'm disappointed. How dare you not know what clay is made out of?
It is made from minerals, plant life, and animals, all the ingredients of soil. Over time, water pressure breaks up the remains of flora, fauna, and minerals, pulverizing them into fine particles, allowing clay to be formed. Wow, so clay really can be anything.
I can't believe you memorized all that.
Yeah, wow. It just came to me, like my brain just opened up.
A minute ago, you just didn't know it. And as if by magic, you're just reciting it. It's amazing. Right,
Yeah,
this
just
game has actually taken off while we've been talking about clay, because Nalguidan did manage to fight for the board and fled under the pressure now of the neophytes. Got a lot of work to do. It looks as simple as play a slogger, kill something, but then how does he get the victory later on? Does he have to kill the minions with his weapon? Can he afford to go face? He needs to count all that up.
What to do?
So if he Canal Sloggers this turn to take a little bit of pressure off the board and heal up, next turn he'd be back at 6 mana crystals, which doesn't leave enough to both Storm Strike and Dunk Tank. He'd be pushing 4 now if he did that, so Nalguidan would be down to 13. Just a Storm Strike wouldn't be enough. However, Storm Strike plus Dunk Tank next turn does just set up for a lethal. He could just set up for a 2-turn lethal, clear up the board a little bit this turn. Next turn, go for a Dunk Tank to clear up the board the rest of the way, and then just go for that the 2-turn. So I think this is wise, especially considering that he doesn't know what that golem contains.
Yeah, he's got a good... Well, he'll know it's a 5, right? So...
He can reasonably assume that it's a 5.
Can't remember if you see or not. You used to see, but I don't know if you still do.
Wait, do you? If you do, then I've been missing out
No, you
on
don't.
crucial information. Okay.
I don't think you do.
I was like, where? Do I have to call
On the
somebody?
Discover. That was something else. There's Discover. You could see what it was, but it wasn't the golems. It was some other card. Did a similar effect.
I wonder.
Yeah. At any time, you can know your opponent picks from Kazakis. You gotta call Pete. I'll text you his number.
You have to pay $4 per minute.
Choose soon.
Yeah, keep it on
Slowly
the down,
tell you.
on the
Wow.
down low, though.
Yeah, it could have been a 1 or a 5, but if you keep listening, I'll tell you which. But I'll tell you now, it wasn't a 10. Another $4. Well, yeah, it was a 5. But was it Life Steal or Divine Shield? Stay tuned for another 10 minutes, and I'll let you know. Thanks, Pete. Fled absolutely has to deal with that golem or he won't win the game. He's only got 4 charges left on the weapon as well. And from where he's sat, Nalguidan has 2 cards in hand. We can see Nalguidan actually hasn't got any cards in hand.
Yeah. I mean, he could just dump the Garrotes and then hope that he just gets there. I just like Dunk Tank and then hit face twice to set up for Storm Strike Dunk Tank next turn to be lethal. He's leaving a minion on the board as well, so that he does have a Storm Strike target because he wouldn't have enough mana to totem.
Nalguidan did put up a good fight.
Ooh.
Suddenly it's just all gone away. Fled's being precise to get out of this one.
Yeah. Clearing up the board, not giving Nalguidan any weird opportunities if he had a buff golem to kind of sneak a win. And there you have it.
Could you repeat that?
Yep. All tidied up. Game over. Nalguidan gives it up. Goes to 2-1 to Fled. 1 more win away from reaching the semi-final this week. And I know that amongst all the other things we talked about at the start in the intro, Fled, for whatever reason, feels a bit sad that he's lost so much on stream. Not just because he's losing, but on stream, but I think he feels like, look at all these things I'm winning and you don't know about. I want to show you my ability. I want to show you how I win more often, as he's done a large majority of his winning off stream. And I think it means a lot to him to get these wins on stream in front of viewers.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, players like to win just in general to prove to themselves that they're good enough. But it's also very reasonable to want to prove to other people that you're good enough. So, not surprised that he feels that way. I'm sure everybody does.
Yeah, I mean,
but
more in his case, though, I feel.
Yeah, at least he's more vocal about that feeling. So now, last deck remaining for Fled, just 1 more win, and he'll lock himself in the top 6 for playoffs, getting to avoid that play-in match. It's just Weapon Rogue left remaining, and looking at what Nalguidan has left, he had his Druid banned away, so he's got Garrote Rogue and Handlock left up, and 2 like reasonable matchups for Fled. One good, it's Handlock with no Viper. The other being the Garrote Rogue, which can get a little messy at times because at many points in the game, the Garrote Rogue will put a must-kill minion on the board, and if it has Divine Shield, it's just very difficult to kill.
Yep, and they can mess you about with neophytes. They can also get through the Cloak of Shadows, so you don't have that extra turn or extra 2 turns, because Garrote cares not for your cloak. So...
Yep.
And sometimes it's just a straight race, which is actually quite a close straight race, because unchecked, other than maybe taking down those field contacts if they don't have Divine Shield, unchecked, the Garrote Rogue could probably do it on turn 7 more often than you might believe if you're playing on ladder, you expect a turn 8, really. But yeah, if you just let it do its thing, plus it might just go wide and beat you down with minions. It's got so many options to get it done in 7 turns.
Yeah, it really does.
That said, Fled has at least got parts of what he wants opening. He has a weapon, as opposed to the weapon.
There's the weapon.
Indeed.
And an okay hand to follow it up. He's got poisons, just missing card draw, but the deck has so much of it that I'm personally not particularly worried about that. The biggest question here,
So
do you
many
attack
options.
and then equip, or do you equip and then attack? Ooh.
I like to
We
attack
may.
first here, and then equip. I'm also busy trying to consider. We may not, but if you phone Pete on this number, he'll tell you. But I'm also interested in whether you play field contact and just immediately bounce it from Nalguidan's hand as well next turn.
Yeah, I think largely depends on.
not now.
We'll see.
Not now. Now you just do the thing you were talking about in the intro.
Yeah, make a Divine Shield minion. It's impossible to kill. It's actually not impossible to kill. He can kill it, but
Probably.
It takes so much stuff.
yeah, it's certainly difficult. A lot of damage going into it. Is a field contact down for Nalguidan though, but he's got plenty of stuff to just kind of keep on trucking. And he can play Kazakus, which again, Kazakus in itself. Let's say you go for a 5 and get Divine Shield, summon a copy. It checks both boxes. It's big. It's got Divine Shield. The Weapon Rogue is gonna have trouble killing it.
And there's two of them. They're brothers. Fighting a meteorite. I don't even know what they're fighting anymore, but yeah.
Yeah, probably Meteorite. Yeah, that makes sense.
He did get Taunt and Battlecry give you other minions +2/+2.
All right. However, this weapon is quite large, I will say.
Another happy guilty.
Oh.
Devin.
Playing the cutting class now is... I guess it's fine. There's always the choice of holding on to cutting class and playing it like with a Garrote, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just to get the bleeds in and start shuffling them in right away. Because that cutting class would have been back in his hand, and there's no weapon removal, there's nothing else. Like it's always going to cost 0, so there's not really like any downside to holding on to. It's not like he was looking for something specific. That was the last mana that he would have spent that turn anyway. Very small optimizations, but it's not that I dislike it. It's just that wanted to point it out.
Yeah, it's a good thing to spot. I think that Fled, the reason he did it this way, he's feeling the pressure. You know, there's a 5-drop quite possibly coming his way next turn as well.
Cold Neophyte is the reason why. There you go.
Okay, that's a good reason. I like that better. I will shut up and let you have the good reasons.
Just took me a second to think of it. I was like, I know there's a reason. All right, well, that's some damage, but still a long ways away from for Nalguidan to kill if any of this is cleaned up. That weapon has a paralytic poison on it, or if it doesn't, it will. Oh, no card draw again, though. This could be an opening.
Yeah, he's in that sort of spot you don't want to be in, where you know you're getting behind, so you have to Garrote earlier than you want to.
Yeah, I think this might even be a cloak turn.
Yeah, he's hovered over it. He's thinking the same as you. I don't know if he's going to, but he's definitely thinking about it. Because 9s are a lot, and he needs...
Yeah, like when else are you going to take 9 from the board?
I guess next turn you're expecting Nalguidan just to put more stuff out there, so it's going to be even worse, I guess.
Sure. Yeah.
It's quiet. Too quiet.
Either way, we're down to the sort of old, can you make an excuse as to why you might survive? Yep.
He's digging for mask.
He is. Doesn't get it.
Finds double ignite, however.
Digging for mask.
But really all he wants is mask, yep.
I'm not actually sure.
Pushing 9. Mask would be guaranteed next turn. Did he find it? Nope. Primordial Studies.
Who's this?
Yeah. Flood is like, there's a mask there.
Well, he's got big problems with these Garrotes as well. Look how many cards potentially Nalguidan could draw next turn after putting Garrote in there.
Yeah, no, that's a big deal. He's got to kind of kill this, and at the moment he doesn't have a way to do it. Outside of sinking 8 damage into it.
Can't do that. You can't do that unless you've got some feeling that somehow you can do.
I mean, he could do he could do as much damage as he wants next turn, essentially. Like,
yeah, that's true.
There's so much. So I think this is wise.
He's got the Guild Trader as well, so he can try and find 19. At the moment, he hasn't got it, but it'll be close.
So there is a way to find lethal here for now. There's multiple ways. The first one is he has another Wand Thief in his deck. He could prep Secret Passage, hit. Wand Thief, and then get the Octobot, and then play it.
Give me that. Look what I want.
Wait.
Overdrive.
What did that do?
Dumped a card from his hand so he could cloak.
Sure.
I guess he didn't need it, but... Where are these? Oh, okay. The Discover's broken. I'm like, there's things appearing in his hand. I have no... Oh, he found Guild Trader, double Garrote.
Yeah, he just
he needs the second Garrote.
Or a bleed from the... Yeah. He needs stuff...
Or a bleed.
He's got loads of chances.
Or the second passage, and then find one of those.
There it
There's
is.
the bleed. All right.
Wow, that was a convoluted turn, especially when all the Discovers just vanished off the face of the earth.
I know, yeah. Good pickups, though, from Nalguidan, holding on, getting, like, damage from hand. I mean, having the foresight to just, instead of, like, going for draws and well, he went for draws at the same time as Wand Thief, but understanding that Mask of Cthulhu would essentially end the game if he wasn't dead, which he turned out not to be dead. And then picking Primordial Studies, because that gives him the best chance of actually finding a Garrote lethal the next turn. Just nicely done, I think. Nicely done. And now we got a tied series. So final game is going to be Handlock for Nalguidan versus the Weapon Rogue for Fled.
Yeah, and this is the tough one. I mean, the one we just saw, Nalguidan had to play very well to get there, but it's a thing you can expect to do quite often. But this one is a lot tougher for the Handlock than it is for the Garrote Rogue. We have seen, I just want to highlight, we have seen Nalguidan win so many weird ways with Garrote Rogue. He really understands all the nuances of this deck. Like how you just described it, he's won in a variety of other equally weird ways across multiple matchups.
Yeah, I feel like we've only seen Nalguidan win with like the standard combo like once, and he's seen him win like 6 times. It's like he's won tempo a couple times, just burned his opponent down a couple times with other things. He just doesn't like to win with Garrote Rogue in the traditional way. He likes to win in his own way. But that just shows that he's got a good mastery of the deck. So that's always cool to see. This matchup coming up, though, is going to be particularly tough. You just kind of have to put threats out there and hope it gets there, or hope your opponent doesn't draw their weapons or their damage on time, which is a tall task. Maybe Fled used all of his weapons and poison draws last game and just will dodge. Nalguidan could dodge all of them, but you can't wish for that every game.
Maybe if you
only needs
play
one.
your quest quick enough at the start, like you get the unnerfed version or something.
Yeah.
So we'll go, and maybe it breaks. It's just like, oh, 7 damage. That's good. No, this is the reason you bring the weapon rogue, this exact matchup. It allows you to leave up the warlock with no fear. And now it comes down to it. Fled's just got to prove that's why it's there.
Well, none of these are purple.
No. Try again. Nalguidan. A couple of interesting choices here. The Knoll, some early pressure. The Neophyte is some early disruption, or disruption when he wants it as well. So tries to keep them both. Oh, he finds the raised dead. That's pretty important as well.
I mean... Oh, yeah. Double the weapon, double the fun. Got the redundancy.
With it, yeah, but you don't mind, right? You'd take 2 weapons over no weapon any day.
Oh, yeah. If Nalguidan was playing a Restaurant Viper, he'd have a backup weapon. However, Nalguidan is not. He's got to fight the old-fashioned way.
That is my currency.
Yep, Tempo the Bristleback. It's very rare that you get to 10 or less cards. Like... You just got to tempo out stuff, try and hit them, force a bunch of damage to go in, eventually get to the point where you're getting bigger and bigger threats online, and then go from there.
Yep, Fled's just going to take down the Bristleback. It's just a distraction. It's just out there throwing rocks. It's like, what's that noise over there, Rogue? Turns out the noise is the Rogue crunching in for 6 damage on turn 4.
Muzzle their magic.
Gonna make my spells more expensive? I don't have any spells.
Ooh!
Ouch.
Well,
Cards.
this is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I could play this one so far.
He's just playing all of his cards. That card's green. Boop. That one's green. Boop. This
To be
one's
fair
green
to
too.
Fled,
Boop.
he just hasn't had this experience of his decks doing the good things on stream.
Yeah.
Like, he looks like he's feeling a bit embarrassed that he's getting lucky, but he's had so many days where he's just drawn garbage that I think he's entitled to one that goes just well all the way. And he can obviously, he's feeling a bit guilty about it by the look of it, but he deserves one of these.
Yep. Nalguidan's really got to go deep into the tank to find something. But he's got to be, like, proactive. What is he going to put, like, a Baron Scavenger in the way a couple turns in a row? And
Yep.
that's enough?
Oh, what else can he do?
Or just kills it for free and draws a card.
Uh-huh.
But I guess, yeah, you're right. There's nothing else that he can do.
Like it's a rubbish story, but that's it. That's the story he's been dealt.
Yeah, I mean, he can do this, like, every turn for 4 turns. He can just play another one this turn, and then the next turn he raised deads, and then just plays another one, and then the turn after that, he plays the other one that he raised deaded, and
then he gets hit.
And then he dies anyway.
Yeah, because all the time that's going on, Fled's now got double Garrote and a Sinister Strike just waiting for the backup plan.
He could just go in now if he wanted to. He gets to draw a card off of this. I think he could wait a turn, though. Oh, never mind. He already attacked. What am I talking about?
Yeah, you don't want to Garrote anyway, even if he hadn't attacked, I don't think, because there's so much healing in the Warlock. Maybe running you out of resources, you give them a sliver of an out if you go for that.
Yeah.
He's going to go for it.
Yeah, maybe just go with the play of, well, I'm not sure, so I'll just do half of each. I'll play one Garrote.
That's making space for 6 cards. he's drawing next turn.
You get accustomed to
There it is.
Surprise! It's another one.
Okay, start with Prep Swindle, see what happens.
Bound to involve bleeds. That's just how today's going.
Passage seems perfectly reasonable.
Mm-hmm. Stabs or not stabs? Yep, stabs.
Yep. Just pulls it out of his deck. Not quite lethal, but I mean, it's close.
He's got Guild Trader Garrote in hand as well, right?
Yeah, plus Sinister Strike.
So, yeah, that's a lot in hand.
Yeah.
So that's the way of stopping Nalguidan doing the repeated taunt play, right? Because now all that mana being wasted on 6-drops, that out doesn't work anymore. That's why he's gone for this. He knows what Nalguidan's plan is with the raised deads. It's like, no, not having that one. Find yourself a better plan.
Alright, Tamsin, Drain Soul, Drain Soul.
Lovely. Are there any decks where you don't blow your own minions up at the moment? I mean, there's the rogue deck.
Feel like many.
The only decks that don't do it don't have minions.
Nalguidan really trying to come up with something, but I'm just not seeing it.
No. So you tap to make sure you're not missing something obvious that you've completely blanked on for no reason, and then you lose.
Yep, and that'll do it. Goes up to 10, and there is was that 8 plus 9? All right, 8 plus
Well played.
9 plus 5. It's a lot of damage. It's a ton of damage.
2.
Yeah, he's just going to show him the minimum, the Garrote plus the weapon swing for exact lethal. Oh no! And then the bleed comes out off the top. But that'll do it. Fled takes the quarterfinal win over Nalguidan. And with that, Fled secures the spot in the top 6, and Monsanto still first seed.
Monsanto Gambit worked. It had us all going well, but Monsanto, or whatever it was called,
He's done it after all. Imagine going 0-2 in week 7 with just like
cards.
the weirdest decks imaginable, and then still coming out as the first seed. Incredible.
He had more watch posts than all but the top 3 have got points. He had 16 watch posts in that lineup. And
That's
only
a lot.
Dreadeye, Nalguidan, and Monsanto have more than 16 points. So that's a lot of watch posts.
That is a
16
lot.
wins worth of watch posts.
Yep. So with that, Monsanto's first seed. Nalguidan still second seed because Dreadeye lost his match. So he'll still get that bye in the first round of playoffs, and he's still going to the World Championship. Like, I mean, let's be honest here.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he's happy either way. He's just happy in general. Obviously, he'd want to win, but hey, what a way to go out. Still takes that second seed. And there's the top 4 set up for tomorrow. It's very interesting. You mentioned it, like the players at the bottom. In Europe, it felt like they kept winning, and now in Americas too. Dimitri will be fighting for his spot in playoffs. It's essentially a win-in for him. He can improve his seed as well if he wins more. But that last playoff spot will be decided right there and then. If Dimitri wins, he surpasses No Hands Gamer, bumps him out of playoffs. If he loses, then No Hands Gamer will retain his spot. Eddie pretty much needs to win the tournament in order to avoid relegation. If he makes it to the finals, it's going to be very weird because we'll have 4 players at 9 points, and we'll have to go to the tiebreakers. But it needs to start with a win for him. If he loses in that first match tomorrow, he will be that automatic relegation spot regardless of whatever else happens. Then the other match, Killen also needs to win his match to give himself a chance. And I think, again, there's still so much tiebreakers. It would still put, if he loses, it's going to be weird. No, if he loses, he's out. Okay.
Yeah, Killen's is kind of a winning in at this point now. Yeah.
A winning in, yeah. Because the only other, he'd be at 10 points, and Rami and Luna are out. Can't earn any more points, so nobody would be able to pass him. So it's one more win for Killen, and he remains in Grandmasters. So, lot still to play for left tomorrow. Nothing is really set in stone outside of that top two of Monsanto and Nalguidan. Nobody can catch them. But everything else is kind of still up in the air as to exactly where players are going to finish in the standings.
Yeah, it's been an exciting season getting